Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, who is one of those candidates trailing the two front runners in Iowa at this time. Governor, great to have you with us. Good morning.
Great to be with you. Good morning.
And it can't be great, however, to be with us on a day like this when you came out of these Iowa poll numbers not with a favorable showing.
Well, of course, the early polls don't mean much. If they did, Hillary Clinton or Rudy Giuliani would be president today. Mike Huckabee won the Iowa caucuses last time, and he was actually lower in the polls at this point in the campaign than we are. So Iowans are wise folks. They make up their minds late in the process, and there's a long road ahead, and all these other candidates have to travel that same road.
Well, Governor, what do you have to do differently? Because you have spent a lot of time there. You've been there 26 times. You've spent money there. You've had television ads air in the region. You would think that there would be a little bit of a better response, would you not?
Actually, our media is just starting. Both the radio ads and the TV ads just started within the last few days, and so the effects of that weren't even considered in this poll. So this is like the warm-ups or the preseason, and now the real season is going to be starting, and that's when we're going to make our impression.
Okay, but there's a negative message that's out there this morning, and obviously the shows that you're talking about, because this is the first issue that's coming up. How do you put a more positive spin on this, aside from the fact that this was a similar situation with Mike Huckabee, who
well,
had
just the early polls almost never predict the winner. So I know the media likes to follow him, but the fact of the matter is Hillary Clinton was something like 20 or 30 points ahead of Barack Obama at this point. Rudy Giuliani was the prohibitive front runner, and of course it all changed. And most Iowans decide very late, and also oftentimes shift their votes back and forth late in the process. So again, these early polls are interesting to the media, but they're very poor predictors of who actually wins.
One thing that's on everyone's mind across the country right now is the economy, and in particular, the debt ceiling is something that Washington just can't come together on. They can't make a decision on it. It's a similar situation in your home state and mine of Minnesota, where they can't come to a decision about the budget right now and are facing a government shutdown there. How do you believe that the GOP and Democrats are ever going to come together if we can't make even these minute decisions along the way?
Well, they're not minute decisions. This is a country that is drowning in debt. We are suffocating in our own deficit spending. And I like the fact that there's a line in the sand that's been drawn in the form of this debt ceiling. It's really a spending ceiling. Americans are fed up with the out-of-control spending. $40,000 a second being spent that we don't have, $144 million or so an hour that we don't have. This is going to take our country down from within. So we need people to stand strong and say, enough, we've had it. Cut up the credit card. And I hope Republicans stand strong in Washington and do just that.
If they do stand strong in Washington, however, potentially for beyond this August 2nd deadline, we face default as a country. So where is there going to be some level of consensus? Where can we talk taxes? Can we talk about defense spending cuts?
Well, first of all, they keep moving the deadline back, so we don't know if the real deadline is August or not. There's a group of folks who say, look, pay the outside creditors first, so there is no default. Take away that concern, take away that fear, and then have the debate be about the rest of the domestic spending. That's something that I've advocated for many months. But the fact of the matter is we can't continue on the current path, and we have to tighten the belts in Washington, D.C., just like families have, just like small businesses have. When I was governor of the state of Minnesota, a very liberal place, we moved spending big time, from historic highs to historic lows. And if it can be done there, under my leadership, it can be done anywhere, including in Washington.
Yeah. While we're talking about money here, let's talk about your money, your funding. Is it difficult? The Washington Post has an article that comes out last week that says a lot of your top aides are either volunteering or working for little or no pay. Is it difficult to keep up with the Romneys and now the Huntsmans, who seem to have these unlimited war chests that they can dip into?
Well, I'm glad that some of my senior consultants agreed many months ago, before any concerns about money, agreed to work for not much pay because they believe in the cause and they believe in my candidacy. So that's a positive thing as far as I'm concerned. Secondly, we're going to have enough money to run at least a Buick, maybe not the BMW or the Lexus or the Mercedes campaign. But having the most money doesn't always result in winning. In fact, Mitt Romney had the most money last time. He didn't win. There's many, many examples of people running. Think of people in the past like Steve Forbes or others. The most money does not translate into victory. You got to have enough money to run at least the Buick level campaign, and that's what we'll have, and then we'll be able to move on from there.
Are a lot of donors, though, sitting on the sidelines, though? Do you see a lot of top Republican donors sitting on the sideline because they're not really sure about what candidate they want to get behind yet?
Yeah, there's still a good chunk of that, which is good for us, because still about 40% of the Republicans nationally don't know me or don't know much about me. So as we have a chance to fill that space, the fact that there isn't a prohibitive front runner right now is a good thing, because it allows us time to make our case.
Speaking of that space, which states states do you key on going forward here? Which ones are most important to you?
Well, the early states of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Florida, and a couple others. But those are the ones that come up first, and they're also the ones that have disproportionate impact on how the race is going to unfold after that.
You started some radio ads. You said results, not rhetoric. Was there anyone that you were kind of pinpointing there when you talked about rhetoric?
Well, look, all the Republican candidates are going to say many of the same things. Or we're all going to say we're for cutting taxes and holding down spending and reforming schools through choice and accountability and market-based, not government-based health care reforms and being tough on terrorism and public pension reform. But the real question is, can you get up and say that? Everybody can say that, but have you done it? I've actually done it in a blue state and moved the needle big time, and I think have the best record of any candidate in the race on results, not just flapping my jaw.
Yeah, you talked before about not enough people knowing you, and that seems to be a problem in Iowa, where your favorability numbers are so high, yet when people are polled, the numbers are so low. So how do you kind of even those numbers out a little? Do you need to be a candidate that goes a little bit more on the attack? And I bring up the debate because even you will admit that there was an opportunity there where you could have gone on the attack against Mitt Romney, but really kind of decided to sit back. Do you
well, there's
need
a
to be more
progression
vocal?
from, first of all, being unknown to known, and then once you're known, people have to view you favorably, and once they view you favorably, they got to get some support. So we're on that continuum, and that's a good, excellent piece of positive news for us in that poll. We have high favorable ratings. Now that has to be converted from favorable impression to support. But as to attacking Mitt Romney or other Republicans, we're going to have some policy differences. And I focused on the debate on attacking or presenting my concerns about President Obama. There'll be plenty of time to highlight the policy differences between Mitt Romney and me and other Republicans in the future debates.
And I guess the other bit of good news from that poll in Iowa was 69% of the people that were polled said they would actually change their vote if they had an opportunity.
And they're late deciders. I mean, if you look at Iowa and New Hampshire, they are historically late deciders.
Well, we thank you for taking the time. And
you're welcome. Thanks for having me in. Thanks for having me in.
We wish you the best. Thank you.